On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, an ex-NFL GM says the Miami Dolphins should not pay Tua Tagovailoa $50+ million a year. We will talk about that. Also, when we all wanted to add another running back to this stable this offseason before the draft, I said, no matter who you add, De'Von Achane needs to be running back one when we discuss Derrick Henry. But have the stars aligned anyways? Is De'Von Achane set up to be running back one in Miami? He may be, and the reason why he may be might surprise all of y'all. So do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. As always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score. Field on the near side, that open touchdown. The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown. He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. And way too soon. Obviously, y'all are talking about why I am tarty today. Thanks for letting everyone know, Britt. As you can see, orange hat, was going to be rocking the orange shirt, and Streamlabs decided to give me the old wing, and so I had to change that one out. So here we are. All right, so I want to thank y'all for coming through on this Tuesday night. I want to also thank all of you for showing the love you guys showed for Dolphins After Dark on Sunday. Britt herself was a little tardy on that, but we won't talk about that. But go subscribe to the Sideline Tee. She's a little over 400 away from 1,000. Let's get her there. We had over 6,100 people watch Sunday's show. So, man, I just want to thank all of you for continuing to support the channel, making me the #1 Dolphins live streamer. And, it's in the lull of the season, and y'all continue to show support, show love. And, man, I can't say nothing more except I love each and every one of you, man. I really do. Thank you for continuing to support me, continue to support Phinside the NFL, and let's make this season the best one yet. This is season number, this will be 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So this will be season number 4 for Phinside the NFL. Technically started this March 20th, 2020 was when this channel opened up. So, man, next year's going to be the 5-year anniversary. In March, 5-year anniversary of the channel. So I appreciate all of you for continuing to support me and allow me to do this the way I do it, which is constantly give you guys the best content possible. So we got a lot to talk about today. Before we do, let's shout out everyone in the chat. There's already over 150 of you watching on YouTube, so I appreciate that. Shout out to Pro Special, Jason, the connoisseur of abundance. What a fantastic name. Lemony Crawdad, Jason Keck, Marino's GOAT, Isaac, Regil, Chef Jew, OG, Samuel Rosa, Jay Shizzy, Rodney Williams, Real Estate Insights. So there you go. If you want to get into the real estate game, hit up Rodney Williams. Andrew Harris. Who else we got going on here? I think I shouted you up, but if not, Robert Thomason, Brian Walters, Kurok 1972. I ain't gonna lie, brother. Every time I see Kurok, I think of the game Turok. It's fantastic. Jason Stamps, how's it going? Good old homie Austin, foxing around in the chat. Jackie Treehorn, shout out to you. Obviously, Brittany here trolling me and letting y'all know some behind the scenes info. Elpad, Chuck, Anthony, what's going on? Tony Rizzi. Who else we got up in here right now? Oh my God. Do I really want to say this? Gray Bush, so you know I'm not lying to you, says hello, my friends. I really hope your first name isn't Gray and your last name's Bush, because that would have been a tough life growing up. Let me tell you. Aladino Mass, what's going on, homie? I hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. And I like Gray Bush, the person. He says, he's right. Be a friend, smash that like button. So Gray Bush has got it right. Gray Bush is hitting it in all the right spots. Reason back on Canadian time. Okay. Mighty Zane, I don't know whether to shout you out because the mods took care of your message, so you must not have been that great of a person. I don't know why someone took that away because he just said greetings from South Florida. Kyle, what's going on? How are you doing? Brian Fawcett. Hold on a sec here. Who else we got? Rude Awakening. Scotty, what's going on, Scotty? Tony Rizzi. Who else we got here? I'm just getting to when I commented. Ryan AP, EM Baller. 19. I'm just gonna call you 99. 99. Welcome to the Pro Bowl level. Charmaine. Cook over Raheem, homegrown. I don't know what you're getting at there, but shout out to you. DDSCLA. Oh, there he is. Jennifer Forbush. What's going on, Jen? I think I shouted you out. Ian Baller, Coach AJ, Dolphin Fanatic, Robert Carrillo. Shout out to you, Joe 305, Andy, Philip LeDuc, Indade, Ken Rosa, Joseph Castro, Roberto, James Steele, Leslie Mankin, the Wayne D Experience. What's going on, homie? Wayne D just also shout out to Wayne D because he just joined the Patreon. All right, I think I'm pretty much caught up. Kent Baxter, never mind, I lied. David D, what's going on? Jeremiah Kelly, how you doing? Jeff Premont, how you doing? All right, now I think I'm caught up. All right, now I think we're good to go. So shout out to all of you in the chat already almost 200 of you in the chat. So I want to thank all y'all for coming through. Did you guys see this with Haason Reddick? Let me know. The Jets off season, but they're predicted to win our division and go to the playoffs, and they're a top 5 team and all this absolute BS that we're being fed. Did all of you see this? What's going on? About Haason Reddick lied to the Jets. He gave his word that no matter what, he would attend the offseason camp. But then, because he noticed Bryce Huff and Jonathan Franklin Myers were no longer with the team, he just realized he had leverage, so he played his leverage. My Lord. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse for this Jets team that's supposed to take the AFC by storm. So, and if you guys haven't seen yet, former Cowboys and Dolphins free agent, this is from Adam Schefter, former Dolphins and Cowboys free agent Connor Williams, who's coming off season-ending knee surgery, expects to be ready for the start of the season and is in discussion with multiple teams about where to play in 2024. He plans to pick his new team before training camp begins. So there you go. Like, new team. He plans to pick his new team. No discussion about he might come back. This is the problem, right? This is the problem. You got Aaron Brewer there, and Isaiah Wynn is healthy. If Isaiah Wynn wasn't healthy, maybe they didn't bring Isaiah Wynn back. Maybe they looked into bringing Connor Williams back and then kick him back to left guard. So the question now becomes is, okay, Brian wants to know who he rehabbed with. Maybe he was using that deer antler spray that Ray Lewis has access to. I don't think it was a matter of disrespect, bro. We had to make a move. We couldn't sit around and wait, because there were rumblings in the South Florida media that, and even in the national media, that he might never play again. And imagine if we were all sitting here while this team was waiting on Connor Williams, let the whole center market pass us by, and we're relying on Liam Eichenberg at right guard, and at left guard, Isaiah Wynn, who always gets hurt. And with that severe of an injury, I mean, we're talking about, people are saying he might never play again. Now he's ready for the season, like a couple weeks later. Is that someone you even want taking snaps to start the season? Or is that someone midway through the season, if his body's right, you start massaging him back into the lineup? Because remember, we're talking about a guy who has had 2 major knee injuries on both knees over the last 4 seasons. Right? He had the ACL tear with the Cowboys, and now he had, which is having, it sounds like he tore every alphabet in the, every letter of the alphabet in that knee. Damn near. So, and like I said, they're stuck. I'm telling you, they're committed with Aaron Brewer at center. There's things they're going to be able to do with him that athletically they couldn't do with Connor when he was at his full health, let alone now that he may have, a bum knee. So, listen, if Connor Williams is willing to come back here and he's willing to fill up that backup center role or that backup left guard role until he's needed, I'm down. And Kent Baxter kind of nailed it. Remember, Connor Williams wanted an extension last offseason. Remember, he was seeking that a re-up, and what was the reason why he was seeking a re-up? For this exact scenario. That's why he wanted a re-up. And we didn't give it to him. He got hurt, and here he is. Oh yeah, if he was healthy, he would have got extended. 110%. I agree. 110%. And I agree with Brian. I think you're looking at another 1 year. I think you're probably going to get a 1 year deal. I mean, he's just not. It's going to be a prove-it type of deal. I do not expect him to break the bank. Because remember, last offseason, the word was he wanted top of the market money. And the Dolphins were like, yeah, we'll let it play out. They ended up being right. I'm not going to lie. But if you sign him right now, he's the backup left guard center. Now, let's be honest. History tells us he's going to get reps at least left guard if he signs with us. So, if he's willing to take a 1 year prove-it deal, because here's the thing. You know what you could do? If he ends up being healthy, and let's say Isaiah Wynn does get hurt, knock on wood. Okay, let's say he does get hurt. What do? Isaiah Wynn's out. Connor Williams is in at left guard. He's back at where he played in Dallas. All you do is in the offseason, you extend him. And now you got Aaron Brewer and Connor Williams locked in at center and left guard. So if you could get him, convince him to come back, that might work out in his benefit, and he might end up getting a long-term deal from us. Right? Tony Rizzi ain't lying. Tony Rizzi is not lying. Tua got charged with 8 fumbles thanks to Connor and Liam. Truth. 110% truth. You no lies told, Tony. No lies whatsoever. So, yeah. Programming reminder, tomorrow I'll be live with Richmond Webb and Mr. Ballgame. There will be no Fin Too Deep on Thursday because Neil started his new job. He's in orientation. So I'll probably be live by my solo dolo on Thursday. The only other show that's locked in right now is Sunday. The ladies in the chat, Brittany and Jennifer Forbush, they'll be back for Dolphins After Dark. With Neil, he should be back. If Neil's not back, then Anthony will, I'm sure, fill in. So go subscribe to Sideline T. Go subscribe to the Dive Bar. They just had on Alec Ingold. Go show them some love. I promoted them before. I know you guys saw them on Dougley last weekend too. So go show them some love. Go subscribe to them. And let's get Sideline T to 1,000. So I need y'all to go. If you haven't yet, I need you to go subscribe to Sideline T. Let's get them to 1,000. They got a new show that's going to be coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Because Mary, Jen, and of course the host Britt do a fantastic job for all you. I mean, I'll be honest with you. That was one of the funner Q&A shows they had on their premiere that any Dolphin YouTuber has had. Q&A shows really tend to be like, but they went a fun angle with it and it was good stuff. And the content's only going to get better as the special guests start to be lined up for all of you guys. So go show some love. All right. Thank you. Tony says just supporting the best Fins resource around. I appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. Guys, leave Jennifer alone in the chat, all right? She's on cloud 9 right now because her Celtics won, and she's loving life. And Jason Tatum is a god right now to her. So, just leave her alone, all right? She's quietly bragging on all you guys, all right? That's what she's doing. She's letting y'all know what time it is. All right, look, she's promoting. Between her and BX, they're promoting Celtic talk. And shout out to all of you who are Panthers fans. Tonight, big game. Big game. If Edmonton wins tonight, there's some belief in that locker room. Heading back to Edmonton. So, Will Kachuk and Will, his childhood friend, correct me, was it? Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad, Jaylen Brown. Will Kachuk and his childhood friend retake that photo? Huh? Right? Will Tatum and Keith will Tatum and Kachuk go out there and I always called it Matthew Keith, right? Will Matthew and Tatum be out there taking another picture together, this time with some trophies? We'll see. So, interesting stuff. Good luck to all y'all tonight. All you Panther fans. All right. So, okay, let's start getting into this stuff. We got a lot to cover. Over 250 of you watching right now on YouTube. So shout out to all of you. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. All right, let's get into this. Let's start off with the title. This SI article came out. I want to talk about it because I also got a clip to play from an old show. All right, talking about special guests. So let's go over this article, and then I got a clip to play from my old show, one of my old shows, episode like 861. All right, from last offseason. So this article came out from SI saying Dolphins facing franchise-defining decision with Tua Tagovailoa's next contract. All right, the former first-round pick has his share of detractors, but he's put up big numbers during his tenure in Miami. Sooner or later, the Dolphins must decide whether Tagovailoa can lead the franchise to a Super Bowl. Now it says Tua Tagovailoa is capable, but he's also imperfect. Unfortunately for the Miami Dolphins, having such a quarterback in the NFL is the ultimate franchise-altering dilemma when it's time to decide on a new contract. Speaking to league sources, opinions on what Tua Tagovailoa's future with the Miami Dolphins should be are scattershot. Quote, the best way to look at it is if you prepare for the speed at skill positions, and Mike McDaniel and then Tua, a longtime NFL defensive coordinator, says he doesn't like to get hit or read coverage. When is he at his best? RPOs in the quick game. Next question to ask yourself is how many quarterbacks would you take before him? Despite playing behind an average offensive line, Tagovailoa was protected by McDaniel's scheme. He only faced pressure on 15.7% of his dropbacks, the third lowest figure of 2023 for qualifying quarterbacks. This is due to his 2.1 seconds in the pocket per dropback, the quickest released time in the sport. See, I have to comment here. Okay, this, when's he at his best? RPOs in the quick game, all right? Go back to 2022. Explain to me the Gesicki throw from like 30 yards out to the back of the end zone. He went read 1, read 2, read 3, and then back to Gesicki at the back of the end zone, who I believe was like read 2 on it. He made like 4 reads and then made the throw to the back of the end zone. See, the problem is what they're not, they want to give the credit to the scheme for protecting Tua, but what do you think the scheme is doing in terms of getting guys open? The scheme is meant for read 1 or read 2 to be open. Why? Because read 1 is a 4.2 guy, 4.240 guy in Tyreek. Read 2 is a 4.3 guy, 4.25 guy, because you remember he ran like a 4.27 at Bama, in Jalen Waddle. What does that tell you? You don't have time, right? That's why you never see Tyreek as a third read on a play, because by the time you get to that third read, he's gone. He's gone. Like, see, they want to give credit to the scheme for protecting Tua, but they don't want to realize the scheme is why we are in a quick game. I mean, you've heard Darrell Bevell. All right? Our quarterback coach, Brett Favre, followed him from Green Bay to Minnesota. Okay? He worked with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's best years in the pros were with Bevell. And what does Bevell tell everyone? Tua is one of the quickest processors he's ever been around. That's literally what he says. And Darrell Bevell has not been around scrubs. Darrell Bevell turned down offensive coordinator openings last year, the interviews, because he wanted to stay with Tua and McDaniel. Just saying. Despite playing behind an average offensive line, yeah, I read that part. Regardless of split opinions on the quarterback, the formula worked. Last year, Tagovailoa led the league in passing yardage. He also threw 29 touchdowns against 14 interceptions, leading the Dolphins, which could have been way more, but Raheem Mostert was like sniping touchdowns, right? So, leading the Dolphins to their second straight playoff appearance. In 2022, the Alabama product paced the league in yards per attempt, yards per completion, and passer rating, albeit while missing 4 games due to concussions. The Dolphins should pay him between 5th and 10th ranked quarterbacks, a veteran front office executive says. He has some talent and fits the system, but there's no real upside, and the medical is scary. He will only be good as players around him. See, again, we come back to this, it's the other players, the other players around him. So then why wasn't Tyreek putting up these numbers in Kansas City? How was Jalen Waddle breaking the rookie franchise record for receptions and getting over 1,000 yards as a rookie when Godsey and Stoodsville didn't even know how to properly scheme him? And Tua was having to hit him with sometimes in box coverage with 4 guys around him. If Tua only has to rely on everyone else, why is it in 2020 and 2021? I always say this. Why were people in this fan base falling in love with Lynn Bowden Jr., Malcolm Perry, Mike Gesicki, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams? Where are these guys now? Some of those guys are flipping burgers at your local McDonald's and not even in the league. But I remember people were betting me that Lynn Bowden Jr. would have more productive season than Albert Wilson and be better than Albert Wilson, a veteran. Look at another guy, Albert Wilson. When Tua targeted him, he made plays. What has Gesicki done since he left Miami? And people out here wanted to pay him $10+ million a year. Again, it's so lacking context. It's unbelievable. And it's so ignorant. Shout out to King. Tua is a top 5 quarterback. We no longer need to be humble about this. I agree with you, bro. Here's the thing, King. At worst, you could say he's top 8. But then on any given Sunday, he could be a top 3 quarterback or the best in the league. That's what's crazy about this. Like, everyone just writes off the 4,600 yards and leading the league in passing like it's nothing. Why is this the only channel where we constantly talk about how he was in the... No, he was in the MVP discussion, and we were in the running for the number 1 seed in the AFC up until week 17. And there were games where he didn't play the fourth quarter, so his numbers could have been even better. I don't get it, man. So, based on current deals, putting Tagovailoa somewhere between the 5th and 10th highest paid quarterback means a total value of $180 to $258 million. That's the range which includes Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins. Most importantly, the guaranteed money would land between $130 to $179 million. Speaking to an NFC general manager, he stated that if he were overseeing the Tagovailoa negotiations, he'd aim to pay him in the same ballpark as Goff. So the NFC general manager that they've spoken to in this article, he's the one that's recognizing, yeah, this kid's worth $53 to $55 million. Early this offseason, Goff signed a 4-year, $212 million deal with the Detroit Lions, including $170.6 guaranteed. The total value ranks 9th with guaranteed money. However, there's another path Miami could take as well. And this is where the former NFL general manager comes into play. He says, I would definitely stretch it out. A former NFL general manager says, I couldn't pay him the $50 million per year at this stage with the information we have. Play this year out, then tag him next year if you have to. Just because he played 1 full season, that doesn't alleviate everybody's doubts about durability. Plus, I feel like at the end of last year, his talents grew a ward or two. At this stage of the information we have, play this year out and tag him. What information do you have, sir? Have you not looked at our cap outlook? Everyone keeps talking about the franchise tag like it's just easy and it's just, oh, that's all you got to do. Just franchise tag him. Just franchise tag him. Like, it's not like that. The franchise tag in 2025 is going to be about $42.161 million. You cannot play with that money. That money is hard pressed against the cap. This team wants to rework a deal with Tyreek. This team, if they can, wants to find a way to fit in Javon Holland and get Jalen Phillips' contract done. And remember, Javon Holland's deal would start next year, right away. If you got a franchise tag, Tua, you can basically kiss Javon Holland goodbye. Like, obviously, these people haven't looked at the cap outlook. Should Dolphins general manager Chris Grier go this route, Miami is looking at a $23.1 million cap hit for Tagovailoa in 2024. Before a tag, which will be approximately $40 million, $42.181 million in 2025. The Dolphins would would then have the option of another tag, which would be a 20% raise, which was just dumb. Now you're at like $50 million, which would mean retaining the ability to either sign Tagovailoa long-term or trade him away. 26 years old, there's still the question of whether the Dolphins and Tagovailoa are good enough together to make meaningful noise. In 2023, Miami went 1-6 against playoff teams. In those games, Tagovailoa threw 8 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions, never once surpassing 300 yards. He's a good player, but will never be elite, another defensive coordinator who has faced Tagovailoa says. Try to make him read things. He just throws it to a spot a lot of the time. Keep changing windows on him, and he will struggle. Clearly, though, he's good enough to win plenty of games based on the existing roster around him. See, okay, here's the thing. What is one of the foundational... This is let's get into this, okay? What is one of the foundational principles of all defenses? What is it? You are trying to force the opposing offense off of their first read. That's literally a foundational piece. So changing windows and you know, like when you adapt in game and change windows on any quarterback where things that were in the first half were open and you give them similar looks and those throws look open, but the windows are changing and they're closing quicker now because you're adapted to it, that would screw up a lot of quarterbacks who are in rhythm, not just Tua Tagovailoa. Let's say I'm in the third quarter of a game, we come out of the half, and every throw and every window I was making in the first half was just there. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm in that rhythm. I'm going to go back to those windows. I'm going to go back to those reads. So if you start taking them away, that's going to mess up any quarterback, not Tua. And again, trying to make him read things. I go back to the Cleveland Browns game in 2022. Go back to the Detroit Lions game in 2022. What do you think they were doing? Why do you think in the Cleveland Browns game, Tyreek Hill didn't even have 70 yards and Tua had 12 different receivers? What do you think they were doing? And the whole notion that anyone can run this offense is absolute nonsense. Why didn't Teddy Bridgewater run this effectively? Why did Skylar Thompson look like a fish out of water when he had to step up and run it? Not everyone is Tua Tagovailoa and Brock Purdy. And we're going to talk about this just throw to spots because I got a little clip for that. Don't you worry. Without a crush of injuries last season, Tagovailoa and the Dolphins might have won the AFC East and hosted a playoff game or two. Instead, Miami faltered late, losing to the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills before being blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs in the wild card round in a game in sub-zero temperatures. The big question is whether Tagovailoa is a driver of Miami's high-octane offense or a product of it. I just explained why. I'll do you one better. When Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson were in, chat, remind me, how many touchdown catches did Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have in 2022 in all the games that Tua Tagovailoa did not start? Remind me in the chat. In every game that Tua Tagovailoa did not start, remind me in the chat. Combined, how many touchdowns did Jalen Waddle and Tyreek have? Boom. Paulie King, 110%. They had 0. EM Baller, 0, and Skylar completed less than 50% of his passes in the playoff game. They had 0. Their yards per reception and yards per game dropped, and they didn't have a touchdown. Go look. I'm talking about the regular season. All the games that Tua did not start, go look. They didn't have one. In all the games, Tua did not start. Not a game where Bridgewater came in and Tua was hurt and left. I'm talking about the games where Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson started. Their yards per reception dropped. Their yards per game dropped. Especially Waddle. Waddle like fell off a cliff in yards per game. He went from like over 80 yards a game down to like 50 something. Just saying. So, yeah, this is just, it gets into it. So it says any general manager would pick Mahomes, Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud before him. Then there's Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. What's Trevor Lawrence's case? What's Justin Herbert's case? Justin Herbert choked away one of the biggest leads. Aaron Rodgers is coming off a popped Achilles at 40. Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa has better career numbers, let alone better numbers over the last 2 years. While they went out and traded for Calvin Ridley. They went out and got Christian Kirk. They went out and got Zay Jones. They got rid of James Robinson, who had the best UDFA season for a running back or rookie running back. They got rid of him and they got him Travis Etienne. He's had problems getting it going with them while Tua was elevating guys like Lynn Bowden and Malcolm Perry and Preston Williams and Mike Gesicki and Devontae Parker in 2020 and 2021. Now Tyreek's putting up better numbers than he ever put up with Mahomes. What's the case? The only case that can be made is Tua elevates talent, Trevor Lawrence doesn't. What are we talking about? As training camp looms, the Dolphins have a decision to make. Pay Tagovailoa, get long-term cost certainty, and continue building around him with top-tier weaponry and a defense designed to pressure opposing quarterbacks, or let Tagovailoa play out his fifth-year option, hold the franchise tag as a strong option, and see if the long-term move becomes obvious after the next 17 and potentially more games. For Greer and the Dolphins, it's a franchise-defining decision. Okay, so now you remember part of that talked about how he will never be elite, et cetera, and he just throws to spots a lot of the time. I mean, that's called anticipation, but okay. I want to play this clip from JT O'Sullivan. All right, for those of you who don't know who JT O'Sullivan is, JT O'Sullivan runs the quarterback school. All right, JT O'Sullivan is a former NFL quarterback. Played for the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Panthers, the Lions, the 49ers, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Raiders. Okay? You got to be up. You got to have it up here to be a backup that bounces around like that. And that's what he was always known. Somebody who could pick up an offense quick. Somebody who could pick a playbook up quick. For all of you who missed my I think only got like 5,000 views last offseason. For all of you who missed that show I did with him, I'm going to play a clip from it, okay? I want you to listen to what JT O'Sullivan says about spot throwing.
Mm-hmm. You talked about his anticipation there. Some people in the media and even, some people who just don't like him, whether in this fan base or other fan bases, they try to call him the term a spot thrower. And I've tried to tell people, that's actually a compliment because you're taught to throw to spots. And they try to go back to Trent Sherfield and what Trent Sherfield said last year about, when you break, if you're there or not, Tua's going to put the ball there. And you talked about his anticipation and how good he is at it. Do you think people underrate it and don't realize why he has to be so good at it to make up for not having those arms you talked about? Because that's one of the ways or one of the tools in your kit you can have that can make up for not having that strong of an arm is elite anticipation. So, I mean, what would you say to people who call Tua a spot thrower?
I mean, I think you did a pretty good job of describing it. I would say everybody in the league is a spot thrower. I guess I probably define and use the arm strength thing different than maybe, someone else who thinks of it probably as like, hey, I once played catch with this guy. He throws it crazy hard. Like, that to me is not arm strength. Arm strength to me is the ability to stretch the field vertically. And so very rarely are you stretching the field vertically unless you're essentially creating out of structure, so it breaks down, and you're throwing it over the top of the defense. You know, those are things that are like 60-yard throws that happen once every 4 games. Mm-hmm. Or guys like Mahomes or Herbert make it seem like it happens all the time. So that's very rarely are you going to wait for that comeback to come open and throw a fastball as hard as you can.
Yeah.
You know, you might do that in high school. You might have a couple of guys in college do that, but you're not doing that consistently in the league. Now, the ball might come out of your hand harder. You just might throw it harder than other guys. But almost every throw is a spot throw. There aren't a whole lot of see it fastball. It is, that I'm talking stretch the field vertically where you break contain, you keep your eyes down the field, you see someone bust past coverage, and you just throw it. And now it's 60 yards and it's a perfect throw. Well, Tua's not going to do that. He hasn't proven that he's going to do that consistently yet. Doesn't mean that he won't eventually. But can he take a drop and throw a go ball as fast as where it needs to be for your guys who are crazy fast? Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen it enough. And so, yeah, you can get in the semantics and the argument about, oh, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. And he's proven so far that he doesn't. But I still think that he makes all the throws that you need to make to be successful. He just doesn't do that one thing as well as the guys who do it as good as anyone has ever done it in the history of the league. And so, yeah, that part is the separator. But the idea being that you're not a spot thrower, if you're not a spot thrower, you're not in the league for very long.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said? If you are not a spot thrower, you are not in the league for very long. And he's 110% right. What do these people want? You want to watch the comeback till the guy breaks and comes back to you and then throw a fastball? It's not how it works. That's not how windows work in the NFL. You have to anticipate. You have to throw to a spot. That's how the game works. And I mean, what did JT O'Sullivan, right? Longtime NFL quarterback, right there in front of you. What did he tell you? Well, after I gave my description to set him up on the question, basically told me, yeah, you pretty much nailed it. You pretty much nailed it, Reason. That's what I was basically told. By a former veteran NFL quarterback who has the best quarterback-based film analysis channel on YouTube. And it's not even close. Not even close. He even said Tua can make all the throws. This is what I'm talking about. People will listen and run with someone who's never even played football at a high level, let alone never even played the position of quarterback. They'll run with what they say about Tua. And then a guy like JT O'Sullivan, who's been in the league, who's played for all these different teams, will come up in here and say this and absolutely obliterate these dumb narratives. And you'll hear crickets. You will hear crickets. And he's right. Arm strength is stretching the field vertically, not throwing a fastball. I'm just saying. You know, go back and watch that. JT had some great stuff to say. It's episode like 861, I want to say. So this whole he just throws the spots. JT O'Sullivan, right out of his mouth. You won't be in the NFL for very long if you can't throw the spots. And what did he also say? Almost every throw in the NFL is a spot throw. There aren't fastball throws. Every throw in the NFL is a spot throw unless your guys break contain and you are creating outside of the pocket. But by design, every throw is a spot throw in the NFL. That's how stupid these people are that'll come out and say it's a spot thrower. Like I said, in that clip, it's a compliment when you call someone a spot thrower because you are taught to throw to spots when you're a kid playing the position. Again, people who don't understand the position, people who don't understand the nuances of football, speaking on shit that they have no reason to be speaking on. and no resume to even be speaking on it, and no understanding to even be speaking on it. So there you go, laying it out for all of you. All right, continuing on. Now, I had said this to Patreons, and I just had a Patreon update. I just had a update for Patreon and community and channel members, insider info. I gave y'all some info regarding Tua. So as always, I got this clip from NFL Insiders. This is the latest from Cam Wolf on the Tua situation. I took a screenshot of the segment and I've laid the audio over for to avoid demonetization. So this is Cam Wolf on the latest regarding Tua Tagovailoa and the contract situation.
And the Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa's agent Ryan Williams continue to discuss a long-term deal. Nothing done yet, but I'm told it's the Dolphins' #1 priority, and there's still hope from both sides to get a deal before the start of the regular season. But seeing quarterbacks like Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence get those huge $53 to $55 million a year in new money deals only adds to the urgency. The last time we spoke to Tua a couple of weeks ago at Dolphins minicamp, he struggled to find a word to describe his emotions before settling on antsy. And he also said the market is the market in regards to Goff's extension. Look, Tua's probably the most polarizing quarterback I've ever covered in terms of public opinion, but his numbers tell the story. He played all 18 games last year staying healthy, led the NFL in passing, led Miami to a #1 passing offense. Really, he's in the market as far as stats of the Goff and the Lawrences. The next mark is training camp 6 weeks away. It was notable that he did practice during the spring but didn't do 11-on-11 drills. If it's not done by then, does that continue into training camp? All of Miami's star players have been vocal. Tua needs to be paid, including Tyreek Hill. And so I don't think there's any concern from what I hear, but ultimately they have to get this deal done, and I think they will before the start of the season.
So there you go. Cam Wolf saying he said this before, that he's not concerned. He has no concern over it, and he's repeating that this will get done before the season. Now, he was specific saying that he thought this got done by training camp a couple weeks ago. And he's right. If this doesn't get done by camp, I don't see Tua participating in 11-11s. It's going to be what I said. When people were saying, breaking news, Tua's holding out. What did I come up here and said? I said, no, he's not going to hold out. He's going to hold in. He'll show up, but he won't do all the work. And sure as shit, what happened? Showed up and did some work and not all the work. Okay, that's probably what you're going to have again. The reason why, not only the expectations, not only that this team believes they can win, but playing this season only increases his money. So it's not in his interest to hold out. It's not. So again, pretty much there's no concern. They should get it done. And why I always play Cam Wolf is because Cam Wolf is plugged into Ryan Williams in the Athletes First camp. He's also plugged into Tua's camp. So if there was like concern on either side, I'm sure he'd be out here saying, you know, I don't know if this is going to get done. You'd be hearing, oh, this could stretch into the season. But that's not what Cam Wolf's saying. He's saying he thinks it gets done. So, you know, I just wanted to give you guys the latest update from Cam Wolf and what he was saying. Now, also, when you go back to my Patreon, also, when you go back to the community tab for channel members, you go back a little bit when, you know, a lot of us were talking about free agency and Derrick Henry. I said, even if you get Derrick Henry, De'Von Achane needs to be RB1. You need to elevate him this year. Now, this article came out from David Furones, friend of the show, who's been on a ton of times. And De'Von Achane is showing no signs of slowing down in year 2 and couldn't get involved in new ways. It's what happened that I warned all y'all. I remember I told you that he was going to be used much more as a receiver this year. And here we go. Get ready for it, okay? Get ready for it. What does an NFL running back do heading into his second season after seeing a modern-day record for yards per carry as a rookie? For Miami Dolphins speedster De'Von Achane, he's out to make sure there's no letdown in year 2 and only looking to expand on his game. Achane already set a high standard for himself, rushing for 800 yards on just 103 attempts and 8 touchdowns plus 27 catches for 197 yards and 3 more receiving touchdowns. The 22-year-old second-year tailback became a household name and fan favorite for Dolphin fans and any fantasy football team owners lucky enough to snag him in 2023. Not this guy and not the watchers of this channel, because the watchers of this channel had been hearing about him since 2022. Now Achane goes into upcoming fall trying to do all he can to avoid the dreaded sophomore slump, something that's absolutely real according to Mike McDaniel. A lot of times if you have success as a rookie, you go one of two ways, McDaniel said during OTAs last month. You're either starve for more or you can get kind of comfortable. I know each and every year there are examples for both, and that's something that we're talking with De'Von in our exit interviews when he was exiting the building, that whatever you did this year, are you expecting more or less? Well, if you're expecting more, you definitely can't do less. You get what you put in, and I think he's aware of that because nobody wants to have the climax of their career be the first year. Do specific goals Achane has this offseason: get stronger, to get better, to withstand hits taken in the NFL, and improve on his route running to get the ball more often in the passing game. McDaniel's going to find new ways to get the electric Achane the ball as the running back has a full year in the offense, surrounded by other talented playmakers such as Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, OBJ, and fellow tailbacks Raheem Mostert and rookie Jalen Wright. For him, the more he can understand within the offense, the more ways he can get the ball, McDaniel said. He had outstanding ball production to find different ways to get people the ball, whether that's different types of pass routes, whether that's different types of run schemes that you can get comfortable with, all those things. More ways to be at the point of attack to play within this offense. That's what this offense really provides for him. 2024, Achane may not be restricted to catching passes out of the backfield. He can line up out wide, and he can line up in the slot too. Just me lining up at different positions as far as like receiver, running routes and stuff, Achane said during the team's mandatory minicamp at the start of June. That's something we're doing different this year. So that's something that I've been doing this offseason. Achane has plenty of resources available to him within the Dolphins building from his peers that traditionally run routes out wide. I got some of the best receivers in the room here, Achane said. During OTAs, I was going out there running routes with them when they weren't there. I did that with them. Basically, why not? Our receiver room is one of the greatest. And if I want to do the stuff they want me to do, might as well take tips and learn from them. While blazing fast, Achane is a diminutive NFL running back listed at 5'9", 188 pounds as a rookie. He checked in for offseason workouts noticeably stronger after a knee issue kept him off the field essentially 6 games last year. Achane is controlling what he can to avoid injury. I came off a lot of injuries last year, so basically maintaining my body, keeping my weight up, that's mainly something I was focused on, he said. Achane indicated he increased his weight, but not by that much. It was more like trying to stay there because if it's hot out there, we run a lot, we sweat a lot. Achane finished the 2023 regular season with 7.8 yards per carry, and which was a Super Bowl era record for any running back with at least 100 carries. His first few games, that clip was up into the double digits. That 12 yards per carry stuff is stressful, Eric Studsville said. There's a lot of pressure that goes along with every time you touch it. Achane's position coach is excited to watch these people grow after seeing him do it all once already. Him now as part of this offseason, it's all familiar for him. He's not a rookie anymore, Studsville said. He knows he belongs in the league. Now it's just a matter of putting him into the position to succeed. And Achane feels more comfortable now that he's gone through the full NFL calendar of an offseason program, his first campaign, and now a full offseason. When you first come in, you're new. You're still adjusting. You're still learning through the system. Second year, I'm way more comfortable than I was last year, he said. I can just focus on football. My first year, I was coming in thinking, do I know what I'm doing? Do I really know? Now when I'm out there, I can breathe. I'm not nervous. I'm relaxed. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more involvement in the passing game. He's just too dynamic of a weapon. And like I said, you can line him up in the slot. You can catch passes out of the backfield. I mean, I think you're going to see packages with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Achane, and Raheem Mostert out on the field at the same time. I don't think that's like really far-fetched. I really don't. So, you know, I think that's a real possibility. I really do. In case you guys didn't see it, And before I move on, I want to add this. I mean, when you break down the numbers on De'Von Achane in terms of EPA per rush, right? He was number 1 in EPA per rush. He was number 1 in red zone, EPA per rush in the red zone. He was number 1 in EPA per rush on early downs. He was number 14 in EPA per rush on likely rush situations. With 5 or 6 box players on the defense, he was 3rd in EPA per rush. With 7 players in the box, he was number 1 in EPA per rush. With 8 players in the box, he was number 1 in EPA per rush. He was number 1 per zone concepts in EPA per rush. In duo concepts, he was 6th. In gap concepts, he was 2nd in EPA per rush. Like, we're talking about in crazy efficiency when he's touching the football. Like, crazy efficiency. So, and you add in he got banged up and we lost Connor and Isaiah, right? Well, really, when we lost Isaiah Wynn, it started going off. And then when you compound Connor Williams, yeah, it wasn't a good situation. If you guys haven't had a chance, the numbers for Marcus Maye have come out. $1.377.5 million, including $167,600 signing bonus, a $1.21 million salary, $567,500 in total guaranteed money. All right. And, you know, he's 1.152 million under veteran salary benefit. So he came in on the cheap. And for all of you wondering what this does to our cap, remember, it only takes the top, 51 numbers. We still have about $16.891 million in cap space according to Over the Cap. So we still got plenty of cap to play with if they want to. So, we're making use of that veteran salary benefit. Right? We just did it, like they said, did it with Marcus Maye, Anthony Walker, T.R. Tart, Nick Needham, Deshaun Hand, and Cam Brown are all fall under that. So, we're saving about like $1 million because of that rule and how we're using it. So they're being smart with money right now. They're being very smart with money. Okay, if you guys did not see today, we got a little more info for all y'all. Here is the official list for training camp reporting dates. And here you go, Miami. It's in alphabetical order, so just follow the alphabet. Miami. So the rookies are going to be reporting on July 16th. The veterans will be reporting on July 23rd. So there you go, right in front of you. We have an idea now. Veterans reporting in like a month and 5 days. And you've got the rookies reporting in just a little bit under a month. Just a little bit under a month. So things are about to ramp up, Things are about to ramp up. That's for sure. Just think about it. In a month and a half, we'll be talking about preseason games coming up, joint practices, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we're still waiting for the full training camp schedule to get released, but because it has not yet. But I mean, man, that's something very, very interesting. Very interesting. And something else interesting, I wanted to ask you guys this. In the chat right now, what's your biggest reason for optimism for the Miami Dolphins this season? Because PFF, they came out with an article talking about reasons for optimism for all 32 NFL teams. And they said The reason for optimism for the Miami Dolphins is they're the fastest team in the NFL. The Dolphins have built an athletic freak show on offense. Tyreek Hill is the most explosive receiver in the NFL. Jalen Waddle isn't far behind him. Odell Beckham Jr. is as good as the third option gets. They also have the fastest running back room in the NFL. And they may have the fastest running back room in NFL history with Mostert, Achane, and Wright. McDaniel masterfully uses those pieces in offense full of motions and run pass options to give defenses fits. If the Dolphins can consistently protect Tua Tagovailoa in dropback situations and hold their defense together after some offseason losses, they can compete for an AFC East title and beyond. So is that the biggest reason of optimism for you, is the speed? Because I think Jackie Treehorn kind of nailed it. I think this would be year 3 in this offense, I think, is one of the biggest reasons for optimism. 110%, I agree with you. Year 3 of Tua, year 3 of Tyreek, year 3 of Waddle, year 3 of some of these linemen that are around. Big Nick says talent is the biggest reason for optimism. I agree. You know, depth is your reason. So let me ask you this, Graybush. Are you happy with the depth on the offensive line? Tony does say speed is the reason for optimism, for sure. I don't know. Year 3 of Mike, says Brittany. Papa Paul says not only year 3, but we built up depth in most all positions. Agreed, 110%. I think if we got a left guard we are confident in if Wynn goes down, and a center we were confident in to back up Brewer, this might be one of the deepest teams we've seen. And like, you'd have to go back to like the early 2000s to find teams this deep. So, you know, I agree. The depth is definitely reason for optimism. I agree 110%. It's just what keeps us weary is, for some reason, they're just not taking the depth on the offensive. Like, are we all, like, I think we're all good at tackle, right? I think Kendall Lamb, I think Patrick Paul, I think we're good. It's when you start getting into the interior is when you start, you know what I mean? Because I think we all didn't like what we saw from Robert Jones last year, and I don't think any of us are Lester Cotton believers, let's be honest, right? So, are we ever happy with the depth on the offensive line? Man, the unicorn line, 2016 when we went to the playoffs. Dart Sadik says Anthony Weaver. That's a good one. Listen, I truly believe there is not going to be a drastic, steep drop-off. Anthony Weaver comes from a lineage connected to Rex Ryan. Brian Flores came from a lineage connected to Rex Ryan, all right? When you go back and look at what Rex did with the Jets, a lot of the foundational principles Brian Flores took. Well, Weaver has some of those foundational principles as well. There's going to be more of a familiarity with what Weaver's doing and installing than what Fangio was installing last year. That's just a fact. Now, obviously, the terminology is going to be different, and there are going to be different wrinkles and different looks, et cetera, et cetera. There's going to be his tweaks, his thumbprint on this defense, right? But you have to remember, a lot of the same principles that Flores had, Weaver does have too. So what does that mean, right? Flores, like, guys, hybrid. Flores, you know, that could be multiple, right? I think you're going to see an uptick in blitzing. 110%. Because when you look at last year and when you look at how that defense moved, I've talked about this, right? You look at last year. I always use these examples, okay? Perfect example, okay? Look at the week 2 and week 3 for the Ravens. They were predominantly in cover 1. Week 4, they were predominantly in cover 3 and cover 4. Week 5, they were predominantly in cover 6. Week 6, they were predominantly in cover 4. Then week 7, 8, 9, they were predominantly back to cover 3. Then week 10 against the Browns, switch back to predominantly cover 1 team. Right? You know, and then when you look at how they blitzed, right? You look at when they faced the Bengals in week 2, right? So the Bengals and the Colts, they faced them in week 2 and week 3. They played predominantly cover 1 against both those teams. All right? That was what they played the most coverage-wise against those 2 teams. But they only sent extra rushers on Joe Burrow on 11.6 of his dropbacks. Guess what? The next week against the Colts, they ramped that up to 51% of the dropbacks they were blitzing with extra rushers. So it is going to be shape-shifting. It is going to be multiple. That's just what it is. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Appreciate y'all for coming through. I'll be live tomorrow with Ball Game and Richmond for the finish line. Dolphins After Dark this Sunday with Brittany, Jennifer, and Neil. Go subscribe to the Sideline T podcast. Go help her get to 1,000. Go show the boys over at the dive bar a little bit of love with the Alec Ingold episode. But make sure you go subscribe to Brittany. Let's get her to 1,000, all right? Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, fins up all day, every day. I will see each and every one of you on the next one. Until then, have a fantastic evening. Love all y'all.